Shraadh in Sanskrit, Shraadh emanates from Shraddha, faith. Shraadh is a kind of a duty that needs to be performed by the existing family members or the heirs of the deceased person. The ritual is performed according to the ritual mentioned in the Vedas, the Granthas, the Puranas, and the description and the significance of the Shraadh is quite detailed in the Puranas. So, well, the current period is actually the running period for the Shraadh, or what we call PitruPaksha or Shraddha. Yeah.
Riti, sorry to disturb you. Music talk slower because we are finding it difficult to hear you.
Oh, okay. And I'll go to
slow, yeah.
no problem.
Sorry, yeah.
That's fine. Is that better? Can you hear me clearly now? Okay. Okay. Each year, the period of 15 days of the month of Bhadrapad is called PitruPaksha or Shraddha. And in the current year, Shraddha began on the 1st of September, and it will last till 17th of September. On the 17th, we'll have what we call Sarva Pitru amavasya. What is Shraddha? Right? Now, in practice, the person who performs the Shraddha or the Karta basically invites the Brahmins on the day, invokes them into the divinity of his or her parents or grandparents, worships and feeds them. They perform a home pleasing Agni and Som, the deities who actually transmit the offerings to the ancestors, nourish and protect them. However, since this is one of the most important and noble sanskars of the Hindu Dharma, it is imperative that the performer of the ritual understand what he or she is doing. Only then will the true intent of the ritual be fulfilled, and the performer of the ritual will feel completely gratified. Otherwise, the ritual is just a mechanical exercise from one's part. According to the Varun Purana, the significance of Shraddha. Basically, once the Rishi Markandeya arrived at Naimisharan to see Rishi Gormukh sage, and he was delighted to find an enlightened soul at his hermitage. After the formalities were over, Gormukh requested him to shed light on the vulnerability of ancestors and the significance of Shraddha rituals. Markandeya Rishi replied, Lord Brahma, after having created the Saptarishis, instructed them to worship him, but they became so arrogant that they started to worship themselves. Lord Brahma felt insulted, and so he cursed Vishwadharma, yeah, uh, Ano Badra Kritavyo Yantu Vishwataha. Basically, the Rigveda says that. Basically, they became bereft of all the knowledge in the curse. And in the course of time, the Saptarishis had numerous sons. After the death of Saptarishis, all the sons performed Shraddha so that their souls could rest in peace. The Saptarishis were also famously known as Vaimanik because they had manifested from the mind of Brahma. Gormukh was listening to Rishi Markandeya's utterances with attention. He asked about the most appropriate time for performing Shraddha and also about the number of guns each of the Pitrus was supposed to have. So, in reply, he said, Pitrus living in heaven are known as Soma Pitrus and are believed to be the most privileged ones among all the Pitrus. They enjoy the most delicious somras, their lifespan extends full period of the kalp, and they worship Marutas. Rishi Marish belongs to this category of the Pitrus. We are going to address all this, the beginning, etc., in the Puran that we're going to do in detail. The Brahma Puran also has these details. However, we just touched base on it. We didn't go into the extension of all the different yonis created, etc. So this is talking about that. Anyway, so the scriptures say that we human beings have the cosmic intelligence, call it Atma, or the soul, or the Brahman, at the very center of it, and it is covered in 3 layers. We discuss this in our Upanishad sessions. The causal body is the Karan Sharir, encapsulates the soul. This is the entity which carries the memories from the multiple lives. The subtle body, which is known as the Sukshma Sharir, which literally means small or invisible. The Sharir encapsulates the Karan Sharir. And this is the entity that carries the emotions and the experiences. Now, the physical body, which is known as the Sthul Sharir, is voluminous. The physical body is what we can see and is made up of the 5 elements Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. When a person dies and is cremated by either burying or incinerating, the Jal and Prithvi Tattva return back to the earth. The Sukshma Sharir and the Karan Sharir, along with the Atma, the soul, which are not harmed in any way, return back. The funeral rites that we perform based on Garud Puran is for the Sukshma Sharir and the journey of the Sukshma Sharir back to the Pitrulok. We discussed all these different loks in our session in the 14 loks and more. Now, Pitrulok is the abode of the existence of such entities who return from their journey on earth. There is also scientific and empirical proof in this via hypnotherapy and past life regression. Basically, the details are found even in this experiments of past life. The other example is from the Bhagavad Gita, whereby Sri Krishna says to Arjun that there is an element in the body that never gets destroyed. According to a sutra in Nyaya Shastra, the quality of the seed is determined by the quality of the tree, and the quality of the tree is determined by how good the quality of the seed is. Your Pitru, your ancestors, are inside you. You are made of these Pitrus. You are the seed of their tree. According to the yogic viewpoint, when you are offering to your ancestors, you are being grateful to them for your existence. The meaning of Shraadh is trust, faith, and acceptance. When you accept yourself with Shraadh, you're offering it to the Pitras. Some part of your life should be dedicated to heal yourself. With Shraadh, you are purifying yourself. It is an acknowledgement that even though I am tied to my ego, my thoughts, my vikar and my karma, the truth is my existence is also due to somebody else, our parents. That is the most important point here. There is God, no doubt, but I am also born by the blood of my Pitrus. Sri Krishna says to Arjun that there is an element in the body, we discussed that, and that's what it's about. During these 15 days, we go through the Pitru Shraadh, which is mentioned in the various scriptures, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, as I just told you, the Purans, Varun Puran, Garu Puran, Matsya Puran, Markandeya Puran, so many Purans, the Rigveda, the Manusmriti, all our ancient scriptures talk about this very important ceremony, I can call it, yes, of Shraadh. During this 15 days, we have to perform the Shraadhs. Now, while describing the Shraadh, there are 16 occasions of Shraadh that are mainly told, which are the 1 year amavasya Shraadh, which is every amavasya in the calendar. Then we have celebrations, then we have the solstice, we have lots of different kinds of Shraadh. Yeah, but this in particular is the most common throughout in the Hindus. And this is the Pitru Shraadh, and that is for the 15 days. Now, there are, various different types of Shraadh, and Shraadh has, 5 categories. The first 3 are described in the Matsya Puran. However, Yam Smriti mentions about 5 categories of Shraddha, which are as follows. The Nitya Shraddha. Now, that is done daily and it is known as Nitya Shraddha. Vishwadev are not installed during Nitya Shraddha. In necessity or emergency, Nitya Shraddha can be performed with water only. Then we have Naimitic. It's also known as Ekodisht because it is done for one person only. When the person dies, then Ekodish Shraddha is performed. Every year on Hindu death anniversary of that person, Ekodish Shraddha is also performed. In Hindi, Naimitya means special. Basically, it's for that special person, that one person that the Shraddha is performed with. Then we have the Vriddhi Shraddha, which is during special occasions like marriage or on the birth of a baby boy. Vriddhi Shraddha is done to get the blessings of the ancestors. This is very, very important. However, it's totally disappeared with time and with the distance. However, Riddhi Shraddha is also known as Nandi Shraddha. I have witnessed this Shraddha. Then we have the Parvan Shraddha, which is done during special occasions like PitruPaksha, during the Mahalay Paksha and Bhadrapad Purnima. This is known as Parvan Shraddha. Vishwadev are installed during this Shraddha. Now, it's also said that Pitrulok has a different scale of time, just for information. 1 year in the Bhulok, which is the earth, our lok, known as the Bhulok, as we had discussed in the session of the loks. Okay, so 1 year in Bhulok is 1 day for Pitrulok. Now, you can imagine in this way. The lifetime of a mosquito is just 1 week, which is 7 days for us. So, our Pitrus visit Bhulok during PitruPaksha time for food. It happens. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Just one moment, please. So, when our Pitrus visit our Lok, Bhulok, it's PitruPaksha, time for food. Put it in a easy way. You can imagine this, right? And it does happen. Now, you can look out. When you do that, it's about when they arrive, we perform the appropriate ceremonies. Yeah. And how do we perform that when they're here? There are certain observations for this period, for this 2-week period, very critical for everyone, whether they believe in it or not. It still applies because Pitrus is not limited to any race or any culture. It applies to all. But the knowledge is shared with people willing to look for that knowledge or to understand it. However, some of the observations are you do not cook in the iron utensils. you avoid cutting your hair. If you're performing the Shraddha, you should not consume alcohol or consume non-veg. And a very important thing, no new deals should be commenced in this period, or no assets should be bought during this period. Basically, this 2-week period should be like a bit of a sannyas in materialism. And most importantly, do not move your residence during this fortnight. So these are the observations requested in the Dharma Shastras. Now, how do we perform this? We can do it by various different ways. So the Shraddha is performed by doing Brahman Bhojan and Tarpan, which can be done on a daily basis. One can donate food, create awareness of the nature, respect the nature, the trees, the rivers, the oceans, feed the animals, and yagna, performing a yagna in respect to the Pitrus. There are prayers to be recited as well. Now, I can go into the details of how this is performed. The appropriate time for performing Shraddha and the rituals is basically during the day, and it should be done around noon or lunchtime. It should not be done in the evening. The Dharma Shastras specify that. In Western countries, people obviously, due to circumstances, etc., believe they do it on a practical level. However, this is the prescription of our scriptures, and it expects us to follow this in order to please our Pitrus. There's also, if the sometimes certain people don't believe in this. However, many people carry, from an astrological viewpoint, I can tell you that we come across various charts that have this yoga, which is a Pitru dosh yoga. And if they have that in their charts, they must perform Shraddha. The amavasya Shraddha is the best for them. However, at least the least they can do is perform during this particular period, the PitruPaksha period. And that would help them in achieving a lot of things that they have been facing difficulty with. A lot of obstacles can be cleared by performing the Shraddha. And I was just, the person, okay, afflicted with this dosh can perform the Shraddha every amavasya, which is a perfect remedy to reduce effects of Pitru dosh. And there is also, we have a particular menu of food items to be to be made during this period is quite specific, the Pitru Bhojan. And most important is sakri, or what we call rice, and black sesame seeds. That's one of the most important items that one should have. And also, by offering pindan, it's one of the great ways to pacify the soul of the departed ancestors. Offering food to the ancestors is the most important point. And one can do that by inviting Brahmins for bhojan. The person who is performing the Shraadh invites the priest and worships them, and the deities who are present there transmit the offerings to the ancestors, which nourish and protect them. You see the two important things: it nourishes them and protects them. That is the most important reason why we should be doing this for our loved ones. And the offerings are made to the three generations: the father, the grandfather, and the great grandfather, the mother, the father's mother, the father's grandmother. And this extends hospitality to the priest who concludes the ceremony, and by giving him dakshina or the fees. All this put together, all these various actions done to show the respect to the Brahmins, like washing their feet during the course of Shraddha. The crows, the black crows, are also revered in Hinduism, and during Shraddha in particular, offering of food or pind dan to the crows is also in practice even today. This is one of the most noble sanskars in respect to our ancestors. There's a lot of details we can go into. However, I think the questions I got through was to understand the whole idea of Shraddha and what to do. I also have details, complete details of how the Shraddha is to be performed. Yeah, and I wouldn't go into that, because people who are performing the Shraddha, if they're doing it via the Brahman should ideally have knowledge of all this. Okay, and during these 15 days, water is also donated to his ancestors. Yeah. And this water is got to be offered via tarpan in a very, very particular fashion. It can't be just offered with a glass of water and you just leave it there. There are three main types of debt to be considered, by the human beings. Pitru, Dev, and Rishi. According to the way Shraddha has been described in our scriptures, the ancestral debt is the highest of these three, whether it's Pitru, Dev, or Rishis. Now you can see the reason why it's so important. Not with the father, but it includes all the elders along with the parents who have contributed to our body and its development. Because of them, we are able to see the world, enjoy life, and that's why Shraddha is our ultimate duty for the fulfillment and liberation of our ancestors and ourselves as well. Now, during this period, the pind is offered with the water and the subtle bodies, okay, of the soul return to the universe, as I said, for these 14 days and enjoy this. And it's described in the Brahma Puran. Shraddha performed with reverence and faith also nourishes the ancestors and their Sukshma Sharires. Now, if you have any questions regarding the benefit and necessity of Shraddha, I must also add, in various Purans, there is a description of Shraddha, and importance of Pitru Pujan is also described. In the Karma Puran, all the concentration, all the sins of a person performing Shraddha are destroyed. Can you see that? The importance of this. It's got to be done with faith and integrity. Intention is very, very important. Shraddha Karma, once destroyed, he is free from the cycle of life and death, apparently. The Markandeya Puran also states this. When the ancestors are satisfied, they give a long life, they give you happiness, prosperity, learning, wealth, children, heaven, and salvation to the person who performs the Shraddha. At the same time, according to the Garud Puran, Pitrus are satisfied by giving satisfaction to the Shraddhakar, meaning the person performing the Shraddha, giving them good age, fame, beautiful children, splendor, happiness, peace, and a lot of pleasure. So, this relates now the prayers to be recited for during the Shraddha are stated here. It starts off with the deities, then the Saptarishis, the other rishis and divine beings, and for the ancestors. And these are very important whilst performing the Shraddha. And the one on the top can be recited, this Om Pitru Ganaya Vidmai Jagat Dharniya Dhimai Tanno Pitru Prachodaya. Now this can be recited on a daily basis during the Shraddha Paksha, and it's very, very useful. Now there's also different Shraddhas, and there's detailed description of that, but I'm not going to take all that in for today. If anybody's interested, they can always approach me and I'll share that with them. But this is the importance of Shraddha. And on this occasion of Shraddha, Pitru Devtabhyo Namo Nama, I end this session on Shraddha with my obeisance to all the Pitrus.